silent scan.
So this is post-filming me of the video you're about to watch. There's a lot of pauses, and that's because there's cars driving by, and I thought as they're driving by you wouldn't hear me, so I stopped talking. Um, and I've cleaned up the audio a little bit to where you don't really hear the cars, but I still take those pauses. So if you hear me repeat myself of something I just said a couple of seconds ago, or I pause for a while, it's just because I'm waiting for a car to drive by. And the reason I made this video is I've just been seeing a lot of hypocrisy in not just the 2A community or the gun tube community, whatever you want to label it as, but just in American society as in general. And I hope I articulated my opinions well enough that they're understandable. Not that my opinion on anything really matters. I'm a nobody. But seeing what's been going on since the start of the year, these past, whatever, it's been this is the fourth week now, whatever, it really just has blown my mind how many people have really strong opinions on one thing and then don't care about another thing, but it's almost the same scenario, or it'd be the same idea morally, and so you would think they would see both things as wrong or both things as right. They would be consistent in their opinions, but they flip-flop back and forth with whatever their political party says, and it's so fucking stupid to me, and it makes me want to just throw my phone in the garbage and walk into the sea and live with fish. I mean, it's it's ridiculous to see so many people who are pro Second Amendment, pro guns. They make videos on guns and blah 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 blah. They either stayed silent with the Alex Patetti shooting, or they said it was okay because he's a libtard and he was protesting ICE, and that's what you get when you interfere with the government. But the whole point of the Second Amendment is to fight a tyrannical government. The whole point is to arm yourself so that you can protest a tyrannical government. And because someone of a different political opinion of you exercises their First and Second Amendment rights, now it's okay to kill them. But what if it came out he was a Republican or whatever? With some other scenario, it's the same situation but a different guy. Now it's wrong, and it blows my mind. But I just wanted to clarify my opinion in case I wasn't clear in the next part of this video. So please watch it all the way through, even if you disagree with what I'm saying, because hearing opinions you don't like benefits you in the long run. If you live in an echo chamber, you will just be ignorant and repeat what everybody else is repeating. Thank you for watching, and I hope this unscripted, unedited schizo rant is educational and entertaining. So I'm out here walking in the snow just because I wanted to get out of the house, and I enjoy being in the snow, but I've been wanting to put out another YouTube video. I was wanting to do more videos this year and try to be focused on it, but just so much shit has happened since my last video is almost, I wouldn't say surprising, because I kind of figured these things would happen, but not as quickly. And to me, if before my last video you didn't have enough proof to hate the government and that the government hates you, you sure as shit should now. Sorry about that. A car just drove by. The I guess I'm going to be blunt and just state my opinion. Um, I'm not for illegal immigration, but I have friends and family that have migrated here. And seeing what ICE is doing, I don't agree with it. Not only is it unlawful, if you've actually read and studied the Constitution, um, it's just morally not correct. And seeing children be used as bait and people who are expressing their First and Second Amendment rights getting gunned down in the street. And let me be frank, I don't think the government should have the authority to really kill any civilians or citizens. I don't agree with the death penalty. I don't agree with the death penalty. And I just think it's fucking insane that some of you have swapped so quickly on what you believe is right and wrong just because the government said so. And with the Alex shooting, I think it's pretty obvious as murder. I I've heard that he had a gun pulled out. I heard they had a gun pulled out and he fired at ICE officers, and I don't see that in the multiple videos. I don't know how people are seeing that, and maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see that, and I can only formulate an opinion on based on what I can see and perceive. But I don't want my family members taken away in the middle of the night. I don't want my friends taken away in the middle of the night or murdered or sent to some camp. I don't think that's morally right, especially to do it to children who really have no say in it. And what really upset me is seeing a lot of people that I either follow on social media or watch YouTube videos on say that it was lawful or morally okay to do it because he was a libtard. I don't know the guy's political views. I don't know anything about him except what's been shared after he died. But I don't think the government murdering him is okay just because he has a different political stance than me or you. And I think that's a really bullshit excuse for government tyranny. I think that's a really bullshit excuse for government tyranny. And I'm anti-government everything. I haven't really talked about politics on my channel just because I never did. I guess I don't really have a reason, but I think it's just crazy that some of you will be upset at Charlie Kirk being assassinated, but then another man being killed, it's justified because of his political beliefs. Yes, there is differences between those two cases, and I'm not for Charlie Kirk being assassinated either. I don't think anybody should be murdered for their political beliefs, um, unless they're, committing crimes or murdering people. That's different. So many of you will cry First Amendment, Second Amendment, all these different things, but I feel like some of you really haven't read the Constitution or understand behind it because you're so caught up in your political ideologies, my side versus their side. And both the left and right have this issue. And I think it comes obviously from the government wanting to divide the people. That's pretty obvious. To me, at least, I really have a hard time not seeing it that way. The left will ostracize the right and demonize them, and the right ostracizes and demonizes the left, when really you have a lot more in common than you think, but you're told by your leaders that the opposition is evil and you should kill them, or they need to be removed and they need to be put in jail for their political beliefs. But you never really sat down and talked to these people. You only see the most extremes on the internet. That's the issue, is like like this. Here's a funny joke, I guess, but there's some truth to it. Is that the extremist left is openly gay, and the far right is secretly gay. But they both like dicks in their butt and boots on their faces. Now, there is some truth to that. Now, I'm not saying whether you're part of one political party or not that you are actually gay or whatever, but so many people are willing to view themselves as the savior of America, and that anyone outside the little box is evil. And it's fucking stupid. Because not only are you wrong, that doesn't help anything. That doesn't close the divide, and the divide can be closed. You need to quit listening to these extremist political Instagram pages who are like, they're my enemy, I must kill them, I must take victory, and watching all these dumb ultramarine whatever fucking edits. I'm not saying you can't like Space Marines or whatever you're into, but all I see is this, to me it's fucking goy slop of this far right ideology that thinks Hitler's fucking cool and forgets he was an authoritarian dictator, just like most government ends up being. That's why I'm anti-government in any sense. I guess you can kind of call me an anarchist, but I don't really fit into that role either. To get back on the point I'm making is, I think so many people today have forgotten two of the most common life lessons I think most people learn or should learn, is that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the quickest way to defeat an enemy is make them your friend. And so instead of attacking the opposed political left or the opposed political right, you should try and find middle ground and come to peace with these people. In a sense, there's of course always going to be certain individuals you can't make peace with. You can't control that. But being aggressive right off the bat does not help you in any way. And I hope you're tracking with me. And I'm sure a lot of you probably left or want to leave the video because I'm calling out shitty behavior. And sometimes the truth feels that way. And I could divulge into my political beliefs more. And I would say, if I put my beliefs down on paper, you would probably label me as a Republican. But I am self-aware enough and conscious enough and open-minded enough to at least hear other people's opinions on why they believe what they believe. And that helps me strengthen my own opinion and arguments of to why I believe what is right and wrong. I don't really care what's legal and illegal anymore, because the government's obviously tyrannical and corrupt, and they don't give a shit about anything other than consolidating their own power. Cross the road real quick. I'm sorry for all the cars and traffic if it's making it hard for me to hear, but I have to be outside to film a video because I can't do it where I live. Sorry about that cut. A guy stopped off for me a ride. I had to tell him I was fine. Again, I want to reiterate that your real true enemy is your government. And I could probably say this about any country, but specifically talking about the United States, because that's where I currently live. So to divide yourselves amongst the average person, your neighbor, whoever, because you're not educated enough or they're not educated enough, and you're not willing to have a peaceful discourse to actually educate these people and talk to them and treat them like human beings. And that's That's the main issue, is we've become so divided on every little tiny thing that we all hate each other, when really it doesn't have to be that way. But so many of you are stuck in this my way or the highway mentality, that only my way is right, and that anyone who disagrees with me deserves to be murdered for their beliefs, or imprisoned, or they need to be excommunicated, or whatever, deportated, I think is only pushing us further and further down into the depths of despair and depravity. We no longer care about our neighbors. We no longer care about individual rights. We only care about my party succeeding. You know how cold it is. It ain't that cold. No, I'm walking for fun. I was bored in the house. Are you serious? Yeah, I like walking in the snow. I like wintertime. I'm good. I walked from my house all the way down here. I turned around over there, and I'm coming back now. So I'm honestly good. Thank you, though. I appreciate it. You stay warm. Sorry, I got distracted again. My issue is I see tyranny, and we can't oppose it unless we unite together. Now, I'm not saying we need 100% of the American population to do this, but we have to do something. Whether you're on the political left or the political right, or you're centrist, or whatever you want to call yourself, these labels don't really matter in the long run, because the government, both the Democrat and the Republican government, I'm talking about the representatives, not people who vote that way, are corrupt. They're bought out by AIPAC, they're owned by Israel, and they're slowly going to manipulate you and strip you of your rights to where you're enslaved. And we're on the peak of the mountain right now if we're not going down the opposite side. We need to realize we can get more done if we work together. We can find more balance and peace if we work together than continuing to fight amongst ourselves. And I know a million other people have said this so many times, but you people don't get it. You keep going back to this tribalism mentality of my way is better, your way is bad because X, Y, Z. Instead of being, well, intelligent in a sense, and that I'm not saying that I'm the smartest guy on the planet. I don't want to come off that way. But actually having open discussions. I talk with people I disagree with all the time. One of my best friends isn't exactly a Christian. He's not an atheist, but he doesn't believe in what he calls man-made Christianity. And he makes points. I hear his argument out and I listen to him, and then I rebuttal with what I believe to be the truth, which is the truth of Christ. That's all I can do. But if I go and say, we can't be friends because you're not Christian. In fact, I hate you, and I'm going to murder you for your beliefs, and I'm going to ostracize you, and I hope the worst for you. That's never going to get him to realize that Christ has salvation for him. But talking to him as a friend and listening to him and hearing out his points, I'm like, oh, okay, I can see why you believe that way, but here's my rebuttal, here's my argument to that, and letting him listen to me, and I've made more progress with him than anything else. But you have to do that with everything. And I think right now, I don't want to say it's too late for discussions. Maybe not with the individuals, but with government, yes. I think they're blatantly tyrannical, and it's obvious that ICE is not about immigration.
It's not about enforcing the law. It's about terrorizing the public and pushing them into a corner till they do something so they can continue to push an authoritarian government. I think it's real obvious when you pay attention to what's going on in Venezuela, what's going on with Greenland, what's going on inside the country and outside the country, and all these different factors. They're all little puzzle pieces. And you can't be so hyper-focused and distracted with the individual piece. You have to be able to look at the box cover and realize what's going on. That's why actually studying history and the Constitution and really just engaging in all forms of information and challenging your brain and your own political thoughts and ideology is going to strengthen not only your arguments for whatever you believe in, or maybe you'll even change your mind and realize you were wrong. I've done that a lot the past couple of years. I've gone from an ignorant teen in high school to a somewhat competent adult. We need to work together, and I think we're out of time to wait for a political solution. I don't think there is a political solution, because not only are our problems a moral problem and not a... It is a law problem because we have too many laws, in my opinion, that remove your God-given constitutional rights because you're a human being. And I think even a lot of people don't realize rights aren't a privilege that only U.S. citizens have. The Constitution is for everybody. The United States recognizes these rights as human rights. So if you're a human being, no matter your geographical place of birth, these rights are inalienable to you because we recognize them and we protect them. But if no one is willing to actually stand up and protect them, you don't have anything. And it's crazy to me to see the anti-gun people protesting with guns and shields and whatever against the pro-gun people who are saying they shouldn't have weapons. Did I slip into bizarro world overnight? Did 2026 become opposite year instead of opposite day? I mean, it's fucking bizarre to me that I even have to talk about these things because the problems in America seem so obvious. And the solution, while being obvious, is not the easiest solution. And I think a lot of people keep looking for that easy solution. They want to just be able to vote and make it all magically disappear. But that's not how it's going to work. It has never worked that way, and it's never going to work that way. And I urge you, if you don't have your shit squared away, I'm not just talking about guns and ammo, but food, water, shelter, your family is on the same page. If your family's not on the same page, and maybe some of your neighbors, we got to get this figured out. I'm in the same boat as you on that situation because I don't have a lot of family. My parents are sick. They're elderly and sick. I don't have help. I don't have a community. And the few people I know where I live aren't interested. So I urge you to do something that isn't on the internet, I guess, or just sitting in your room and sharing memes, which there's nothing wrong with that. I do that. But we need to actually do more. And I urge you, I really seriously urge you to study the troubles in Ireland, learn where the IRA succeeded, and learn from where they failed. Study other guerrilla movements. If you do not have some kind of book or manual that talks about guerrilla warfare, you need to get it and read it, because that's where we're at. Now, for legal purposes, I'm not calling anyone to violence, but you better be ready to defend yourself and the people around you. But don't wait till they're knocking on your door. You need to be proactive and meet them in the valley or wherever, but not on your front yard. Because if you wait for all your neighbors' houses to be burnt down, or to be taken away by the secret police, or to be stomped on by the boot of fascism or authoritarianism or communism or whatever you deem as the villain, and the villain is always overarching government that oppresses the people. The name of the government does not fucking matter, because they all work the same. And if you openly study history, you will see that the rich elite at the top oppress the working people to steal the resources of the land, to enrich themselves, and to oppress the people further. That's how capitalism works. That's how communism works. That's how fascism works. That's how feudalism works. That's how every form of government we've ever created works. Because greed is the cause of almost all sin. You want what you don't have that somebody else does. And again, first and foremost, and above everything else, if you are not right with God, you have nothing. No amount of guns, no amount of bullets, no amount of gold bars, no amount of ramen noodles hid in the bucket in your basement will ever save you from anything except not dying sooner. But what will you do after that? No, I'm walking. I'm good. Thank you. Yeah, I've been walking for a while. Thank you, though. Well, there's 3 nice people today. So, as I was saying, I'm going to leave you with some wisdom, and hopefully what I've said is coherent and understandable. But I will see you again. I would never kill myself. Stay frosty, stay vigilant, and act according to your environment.